This is your Weather Extreme video for Wednesday, July the 2nd. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. James Spann is on vacation. We're looking at the Skycam image from Mount Cheaha and a few streaks of clouds moving across the sky. Looking over at Jasper, we can see the sky clear over there. Kind of a complicated July weather forecast and pattern over the southeastern United States. We have an approaching front, which you would think would be increasing our rain chances, but we also have a tropical storm Arthur just off the east coast of Melbourne, about 100 miles off the east coast of Florida, and that helping to actually limit convection with sinking motion. There's a look at the upper air pattern, and we do have a trough coming across the upper Mississippi River Valley. That trough will help to nudge Arthur off to the northeast with time. There's a look at Arthur and the satellite image this morning. Arthur's been improving its structure and also changing the structure a little bit as it has sort of reformed. There's a look at the Melbourne National Weather Service radar image from their WSR 88D, the Doppler radar system. And the center seems to have formed just a little bit further offshore, a little to the east. And so the storm has not actually moved east. It's just kind of restructured. But because it restructured a little to the east, it puts it just a little further away from the coastline. So we still have tropical switches in effect for the east coast of Florida, and also tropical storm and hurricane watches have been posted for the Carolina, or a large portion of the Carolina coast from the Outer Banks down into central South Carolina. And the forecast track's looking pretty good. There's a pretty tight clustering of the model runs. This morning, the temperatures across central Alabama just a tad warmer. We're generally in the mid-70s. Some spots, of course, will be getting down into the lower 70s or maybe even the upper 60s. But for the most part, we're into the middle 70s already as the atmosphere continues to warm up just a little bit. QPF-wise, much of the precipitation forecast for the next 5 days is focused on the track of Arthur, and then across the north-central U.S., much of the southeastern U.S. remaining dry. Storm Prediction Center is outlooking a slight risk area that extends from the central Appalachians up into New England to northern Maine, as a matter of fact. And then on day 2, we have only a C-text area in the mid-Atlantic states. All right, let's take a look at the GFS modeling this morning, and there's a look at the surface pattern. And yes, we do have this approaching front, and Cape values are pretty good. So we could see some isolated showers and thunderstorms, and due to some dry air aloft, there is a possibility that if we do initiate convection, and that's still a big if, that we might see a fairly high likelihood of damaging straight-line wind in the form of microbursts. But we'll have to watch any development of any convection that should occur today. By tomorrow, the trough moving across the upper Mississippi River Valley is inching over into the Ohio River Valley, and that will help to nudge the developing Arthur and keep it along the southeast coast of the U.S. And so Arthur comes very dangerously close to a possible landfall just along the outer banks of North Carolina. And, of course, not trying to jump onto landfall positioning. I'm thinking the center may likely stay just offshore. The trough continues to progress eastward on Friday, and that will help to nudge Arthur out into the northern Atlantic and away from the U.S. coastline, and that will certainly help with New England and should spare them any effects from the storm. Saturday, the weather is good over the southeastern U.S. as we see an upper ridge beginning to develop. Now, that ridge developed differently yesterday, and we see on Sunday, we see this little trough coming across the Great Lakes. The ridge yesterday was more elongated and more developed over the southeastern and eastern U.S., but it looks like by Sunday, of course, moisture will be on the increase, and so we could be back to just, the daily chances for showers and thunderstorms. By the time we get out to Monday, that trough is still over the eastern part of the country, and so once again, showers and thunderstorms become a little bit of a possibility. When we get out to Tuesday, the ridge is beginning to be felt even stronger. And then a week from today, we see the ridge not nearly as strong as what the GFS was painting yesterday. And we see the westerlies are pretty far north along the northern tier of the United States. So we basically are back into the summer kind of weather pattern, with highs getting back into the lower 90s and those daily chances for showers and thunderstorms. And voodoo country continues to be an enigma, as we see this big 594 heat bubble ridge over the western U.S. Yesterday, it was actually over the eastern U.S., eastern two-thirds of the country. So now it's more over the western U.S. So we'll see what changes tomorrow. And then looking out at the end of the period, around the 17th of July, and interesting that the GFS now has that big ridge over the western U.S. while we have a bit of a troughiness over the eastern half of the country. And that would certainly, if this verifies, and that's a very big if, that would certainly help to keep the heat in check. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video for this morning. I'll have the next one posted first thing on Thursday morning. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for the latest updates on our ever-changing weather patterns. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great day, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.